Today's program, as we all know, our resume review. We have a little over 700 people on this call today, so obviously we can't get to everybody's resume. However, we will get to a group that is a good sample, we think, and will help each of you maybe tweak your resume.
So, Randall, we receive, as I said, hundreds of emails with resumes in them every day, and typically I wouldn't even look at a signature file like this, but your signature file is essentially a business card, and that's very, very impressive. Randall is a web developer, so this is key. I rarely send my candidates' emails directly to my clients, but this is an example of someone who I may send to a client just as it is, because I would want them to see that that Randall has produced such a beautiful business card within the body of his email. Randall, on the top of Randall's email, you will notice that he has two attachments. He has his resume attached in Word as well as in a PDF format. And that's great, too. I mean, again, very technical. For Berman Larson Kane purposes, we always like a Word resume because we attach it to our database in that format. But a lot of people would prefer a PDF file because it sometimes is a lot cleaner to look at. So given the technology that we'll see soon in Randall's resume, this is a very impressive way to attach resumes here. Mm-hmm. Carol, you want to talk about that?
Which one you prefer I open? You prefer I open the PDF file or the Word file?
I would say the Word file.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's look at Randall's resume. All right, now Randall is a web designer, web developer, freelancer. His resume is a little different than a normal resume would be. He doesn't have a series of corporate positions for his web design work because these positions that he's held are probably shorter term than a full corporate position would be. And later on in the resume, you'll see that he's held other positions while doing some web design, and that's great. So it's very clear what he's done. He uses content management software or content management systems. Those are the two that he mentions are Drupal and Joomba software. For human resources assistant or a recruiter or a human resources generalist, they might not know that those two terms are content management systems or content management software. So I would just mention that right underneath it. It would make it clearer to someone in a corporate environment who is reading it. And the other thing I wanted to point out, under your expert skills, which by the way is done extremely well, very readable, very clear, and the experience is excellent. I would, under Web 2X, I would not use the first person. I would not use the word I. I would just start out with the word build. So those are my suggestions for you, Randall. But otherwise, it's a great resume.
There's something else that we should recognize on this resume, Bob. If you go back to the top, Randall has his portfolio listed. So that's an online gallery of all his work. That's terrific. Again, that is definitely something that one of our clients would be looking for. If we're placing Randall as a web developer, certainly we would want to show samples of his work. So I think that's a great idea to have that up on top. I agree with Carol. This is a very clean resume. It's well laid out. I don't recruit much for IT, but this would impress me because I could see what he's done as far as servers go, as far as e-commerce, software. It's a recruiter's dream. So that's great.
Yeah. The other thing we're going to point out is that he has a wonderful education. He has attended top schools, and sometimes recruiters and human resources generalists or recruiters will search on top schools. For those purposes, you may want to put that in the beginning of your resume. It's not entirely necessary, but it is an impressive education, and you might want to point it up front.
Yeah, you definitely have a great pedigree, Randall. Kudos on that. I have mixed feelings about putting education up front. Usually a person who is more seasoned, more senior, in their experience will put the education later on in the resume. I actually had a client who started reading resumes from the bottom up. So he would take a look at the education first and then go through the progression of the person's career. So it's, I think if you talk to a couple different recruiters, you probably would get a couple of different opinions on that one. But
I think with that, both Carol and Susan, in terms of even just something simple as positioning of education, just shows that this is really an art more than a science. And for Susan's person who is the HR director who reads from the bottom up, even though Randall has his education at the bottom, that would be the first thing that they would see. So everyone reads a resume in a different format. It's sort of an art or almost a guessing game to determine how the person you're presenting to is going to be reading it. So I think that it's okay for our two panelists here to have a different opinion here. And as many times as you show different people your resume, I think you'll pick different opinions, and basically you make the choice to determine what you think represents you the best. So we're going to move on now to another resume. And Randall, I really apologize. For some reason, I can't unmute your mic. And we will talk offline after this, and we will be glad to help you any way you can. So please accept my apologies for the technology difficulty of unmuting your mic. And I'm sure you as a web developer could figure this out in a heartbeat of what I'm doing wrong. So thank you, everyone. Something just a little bit about who Berman Larson Kane is. We've been a staffing leader since 1980. We are one of the few staffing agencies in the country that have been nationally accredited by the National Association of Personnel Services. We've been selected by New Jersey Biz as the best employer for 07 and 08, and we have a wonderful tenure staff, which was evident today by our two panelists who were critiquing resumes. On our website, we have Aim, Shoot, Get, Hire, and over 100 advice articles in the historical section of our newsletter that are free to all job seekers. And, of course, we have these webinars recorded and available for replay on our website.